a podcast about my arcade machine and the games I'm building for it. Currently, I'm working on a Space Invader clone. You'll remember last episode there was a bunch of things that I still have to do. One of them was to optimize the level loading object file. So this file contains all of the information about every object that gets loaded into the game. That includes the 50 or so invaders, the 4 bunkers, the 100 bullets, and the player. This is not a very good way of loading all of the objects because we're breaking the #1 rule of programming, which is don't repeat yourself, or DRY. Each of the 50 invaders, for example, has the same block of code. The only difference is the location, and when we get different types of invaders, the bitmap name will be different. Other than that, everything else is the same. So where they're going to differ when we have the different types of invaders is row by row, not invader by invader. So the best way to tackle this will be to create or to modify the code so that we have 5 code chunks, only 5, it's my camera, 5 code chunks, and each code chunk will load 10 or 11 invaders. Another code chunk to load 4 bunkers, and another chunk to load the 100 bullets. And then our 600 line file might drop down to under 100 lines. To do that, it won't be too difficult. I have to have a good understanding of the game engine though, especially the file loader, so that we know where to modify this and get the best optimization out of it. The way the file loader works is it passes all of this information here, takes it from a text file and converts it into a blueprint, similar to a blueprint of a house that tells you the sizes and the materials that are required and what each part does, but it doesn't actually build the house. So once you've got the blueprint for each object made, so there'll be 50 Space Invader blueprints, each blueprint is then brought over to the game object factory and turned into a object in the game and then stored for use throughout the game. What we want to do though is, instead of doing that 50 times once per invader, we just want to do it 5 times. So where do we edit the code? That's pretty simple. All the other stuff up to this point is pretty good. We only need to edit this little section here and the blueprint itself, so that when the blueprint contains attributes about a row, so how many items are in this row, what's the space between each item, then we'll go down this path where we iterate through and build a game object for each row item. And if it doesn't contain those items, we'll just go down the same normal path and build one object. So this would be, for example, invaders, bunkers, and bullets, and down here would be player. We only need 1 player at the moment. All pretty simple. There's not too many changes we need to make. We need to update the object tags. The tags are for row iteration and gaps between the objects, and the tags, they take it from that basic text file into the game engine. I'll go into more detail some other time about them, but they're pretty simple. The blueprint object parser, that extracts the new tags and their values to the blueprint. The game object blueprint, that'll hold the new tags and their values. And the game object factory play mode, so here's where the work will be done. That'll be this section here. That'll check if the iteration is necessary, and if so, it'll iterate X number of times and increase the coordinate values each time to ensure the objects are in their current positions and that their colliders are overlaying the objects in the current positions. And also, what's not noted there is that it'll also ensure that the bitmaps, the image file representing the game object, is in its correct position too. There won't actually be a lot of code to do there, but it will still be a bit challenging to get the logic just right. So I hope to get that done maybe Saturday sometime. Uni pending, back on the books, so a bit poor for time, but we should be right to do this small challenge. Thanks for tuning in. I'll get back to you when I've got some progress.